Hello, I'm young Morpheus Cage of the Political Matrix. I wanted to talk to you real quick about a little bit of philosophy for a moment. One of Plato's great works is the Allegory of the Cave. I feel in order to really get down to understanding this political matrix and opening your mind to the possibility that things aren't exactly what they may seem or what you've always perceived them to be. You first have to have the ability to open your mind, I guess, absorb different information and take it in and weigh it out on your own without the constraints which you've been taught to have. Open your mind to that information. Then you can start to understand the philosophy which Plato was really speaking about and how it actually impacts the real world which we live in today. The Matrix did it in a cool, interesting way by having the main character be in a computerized dream world. That's not too far away from the real world that we're in. We are distracted by all different types of things, whether it's celebrities or movies or this or that. I'm not saying that these things are evil at all. I'm saying that when we are overloaded with too many things, we can only process a certain amount. And that becomes dangerous because if we're only processing things which are entertainment based and we're not focusing on the real issues that are going on around us, that's when the people who do have the nefarious mindsets or intentions are able to enact the evil plans which they've always wanted to do. On a small scale, you may not notice the imperfection and the problem that it can create on a small scale. As the imperfection grows on a larger scale, the imperfection becomes a much bigger issue. That's the same thing with information and the way people use it or omit information or the way they frame narratives. The framing of narratives and the controlling of information is one of the biggest ways this political matrix keeps control over all of us. Lies or the falsehoods, the untruths, we can actually start to address real solutions, real strategy. Those people out there who are people of faith, what does it say in the Bible? Put your faith in no man. When you're even allowing just the news to give you the story and you trust 100%, you're putting your faith in man also. The allegory of the cave. For those of you who don't know it, it speaks of a group of men who are shackled inside of a cave, facing the wall of the cave with a large fire behind them. That large fire behind them lights up their shadows on the cave's wall. And periodically throughout the days and nights and weeks and months, various shapes and figures walk by the fire, casting a shadow upon the wall for those men to see. For those men, the shadows on the wall become their reality. That's all they know. And so they begin to live and understand that that's just their reality and don't question it and move on from it. As the story goes, one of the men gets free and he starts to creep and he looks out and he notices light towards the end of the cave. Curiosity brings him towards that light. As he walks towards the light, it starts to hurt his eyes. The reason why his eyes are hurting is because he hasn't used them. Just like in the movie Matrix, when Neo wakes up and his eyes are hurting, it's because he's never used them. It's the same thing when you're trapped into this system and you believe the falsehoods. The moment you first see some of the truths, they're going to be jarring. Because it's going to be hard to accept that you didn't see that all these people don't know that. But if you can get past that jarring phase, that blinding light, as that man did, he got outside of the cave. As he got outside of the cave, and his eyes started to adjust, perceiving the real world instead of the false world which he was imprisoned in. He saw beautiful shapes. The sun. He saw mountains. He saw birds instead of their shadows. But that doubt that he still had in the back of his head could not trust what his eyes, his senses were telling him was real. Because the reality he was in was still controlling his mind. As he began to shake away from that, and instead of look to the shadows of all the objects that he saw in that world, and realize the beauty of the real objects, the virtue of the real, he wanted to spread that message and bring it back to his friends in the cave. Their reaction was fear. Their reaction was distrust. Their reaction was anger. Their reaction was to shun him and push him away, that he was a madman, that he was crazy. That's the same thing which is going on in this whole political matrix. There are many of us who are screaming now, who are telling you there's information here. And some of these truths are not going to be fun. But this is the truth.